Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety meeting. It's Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do we have a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. First resolution, number 2 on our docket, resolution is to approve the minutes of the September 14th, 2022 meeting of the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety. Do we have a motion?
I have a correction.
Oh, yes,
please.
sure.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
A quick correction.
Yeah.
Resolution number 99, and the resolution actually reads on page 7. And just on the Cameron Avenue, and it's traveling north.
Right, yep.
I just wanted
Gotcha.
to put that on the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions or comments, corrections? Seeing none, we have a motion to accept the amended minutes.
Also move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 3 is a resolution to retroactively approve the Women's Rights Rally to be held Saturday, October 8th, 2022 in City Park from noon till 2 p.m. Hosted by Planned Parenthood, Get Your Girl On. The event will feature various people speaking on the subject of women's rights. They utilize the bandstand and confined to City Park. The event organizer estimated the attendance to be 300 to 500 people as attached. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All
I
in
have
favor?
I have a question.
Yes.
If we look at the application, and this is, this is history, I understand.
No, that's
I
fine.
wondered
But I
that too.
noticed that the applicant crossed out the hold harmless agreement and initialed that. Is there, what's that about? Does anybody know anything about that?
I don't, as I'm learning more about these processes of the Board of Public Safety, I just had a conversation where we really didn't find out about this event until about 2 weeks before the event. And whether we retroactively approve it or not, it happened, right?
Right.
And I think what we're starting to do, and where I wanted to talk about it under old business tonight, and I would have said new business, because it's a new topic for us to talk about, but it's about old business, it's about process. We want to start to change and highlight this process by which we get applications a few months before so we can look and we can add questions to. And the truth is that we don't really know what to do about these events that are happening. And this came up originally, started over the 10 months that now I've been mayor, 9.5 that I've been mayor, 10.5, sorry. We had the meeting, remember when this law first, when the Supreme Court started to look at changing the women's ability to choose, right, and took that up. There were some young ladies who came to us and said, we're going to hold a rally. And it was like 3 weeks before the rally was to happen, 4 weeks before the rally was to happen. And I met with them and the chief of police, and I think it was the assistant chief actually who helped. And we started to outline, like, we can't really approve this because we don't have enough time and we don't have a city council meeting. But it's not that we're against your thing. Would you be willing to modify this, to hold it? They wanted to actually have a march down Glen Street and then meet, and so start here and then march all the way down Glen to Crandall Park. And they became upset with me as I asked them questions like, or as we asked them questions, what was their safety plan? What was their volunteer plan? All the questions that the Board of Public Safety would ask, and they didn't have an answer. And they said, but you can't stop us, and right, and their right to protest, right? Apologize for not remembering what amendment it is to the Constitution. But I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't march. What I'm saying is that I can't approve it and we can't provide you safety. So you would be liable if somebody gets hurt while you're marching down this street. You're going to be completely liable, and we don't have any idea if the counter protesters are going to come. And if this breaks out, we can't even, it's such short notice that we can't even get additional firefighters. It was, I think, during a holiday weekend, and we were really worried that we couldn't provide them even the basic safety stuff. Chief Schrammel was there and mentioned that EMT would cost us overtime, right? And I was like, can we even get it? And it was tough because again, it was a holiday weekend. Could we get somebody to pay them and do it? And they answered me with questions that were very, I'll just say, immature. Like, oh, don't worry, I don't have anything, so they could sue me and it wouldn't matter. I'm like, you don't understand what kind of liability and you're putting yourself under. So I think that we need to look at this process by which we evaluate and approve these venues and come up with, if somebody doesn't have the proper insurance, what is our reaction going to do and what can we do? And it would be different for a protest as opposed to an actual event that you want to hold in a park, either on a street or in a park. And we might have to deny some of these if they don't have simple insurance riders. But it's very difficult. There's been practice, plenty of practice in previous administrations, but very little policy written. As a matter of fact, when I quiz my mayor's assistant on this, he'll say, well, it's on an application that says 60 days notice. And I say, well, where is it? And so we got to look at the code. We have to understand, like, is this just practice and what we're asking? Is it a request that we're asking so that we can approve this and make sure we're providing the supports? I think kind of it is. But I don't have an answer to you. It was held. And I don't know if they had the proper, and I don't know how to stop it if it's not, to be honest, right? So I'm going to ask you to help me explore these and start to build procedure and practice, common practice that we're going to ask people for, and then ask you your help and guidance as to how we respond when they aren't meeting those like 60 days notice. It's what we want. And quite often we'll say to somebody, we can't approve this 5K run, right? And then, but what are we going to actually do if they organize the 5K run and run it without approval? I hope that never happens, but
Yeah.
do you understand what I'm getting at?
You're in a very difficult situation here. I think we have an obligation not to create a precedent of accepting something like this where someone unilaterally crosses out a hold harmless agreement.
That's right.
Which says that they're going to be responsible, and that would then bring their insurance in and everything if something awful happens. And we don't know if something happened that'll later turn into a lawsuit.
Yes.
They got 90 days to file a notice of claim against the city. Who knows what'll happen?
It's a good point.
So I think as a matter of not creating a bad precedent, I would vote against approving this retroactively.
Would the council, would you like to make the motion that we pull this resolution from the agenda?
Well, I think we should
Huh?
rule on it, that it was presented to us retroactively.
Right.
Or it was presented to us after the fact.
That's correct.
And this is not a proper application.
Very good.
So
How do we,
on that basis, I think we're on firm grounds,
Yeah.
that the application is not.
Well, there's a motion to approve it. I'm going to vote against it.
oh, I got you. So,
Well, we can.
Yeah, we can.
But I'm just trying to say
Yeah.
that it doesn't follow the protocol.
gotcha.
May we withdraw the motion to approve?
I don't think we've done it. have we?
No, we did not approve
Oh,
it.
and nobody, oh, so how about that? I make a motion to approve. It's not,
No.
it's
So
not brought to the table?
I'll withdraw the motion to
Okay.
approve.
And do we have a motion to deny?
I'll make a motion to deny.
To do
I'll
that.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Thank you. And let's start to, then we'll also start to look at what processes and procedures we should have moving forward and really identify it, clarify it. What we have is a whole bunch of past practice, but not necessarily documented procedure. Fair enough.
Now, my suggestion to make a motion to deny is that the city send a thing to Planned Parenthood / Get Your Girl On and tell them your resolution was denied.
Your application.
Your application was denied. Therefore, you're not allowed for 1 year, whatever, to submit a new application, period. Because you failed to follow correct procedures, especially the hold harmless agreement on the application.
I'd like to hold off on that until I can find those procedures that we're telling them that they didn't follow. Because I don't know that they're written, is my
The
original
application shows
statement.
it crossed right
The
out.
application shows it, but that's an application, that's not a procedure. So let me look for the procedure and bring them to you guys and start to talk about it. If that's the case, and there's a actual written procedure that says that this is what they need to do, other than an application. Because your statement is exactly what my mayor's assistant said to me. Well, the application says 60 days. But the application isn't really a procedure that we're asking people, a formal procedure that we ask them, and I think we need to create one. But maybe there is one too. Give me some chance to look at it. Fair enough?
It is a public
Look-
park. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would like to also make note that nowhere on this application does it indicate anything about Planned Parenthood.
No, this was actually a person
Yeah,
that was
it's-
brought this to us was not
Yeah.
a representative of Planned Parenthood, but they were
No.
somehow involved with it, so.
It says hosted by Planned Parenthood. I don't know, in our agenda, nowhere here does it say anything about Planned Parenthood.
Fair enough, thank you. So, Resolution 4 is a resolution to approve the annual Veterans Day ceremony at Crandall Park, Friday, November 11th, 2022, from 10:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m., sponsored by the Glens Falls American Legion, Post 233. They are requesting a podium PA system, 15 portable chairs. Ceremony is expected to have the attendance of about 50 people. And there is an application attached. Has everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Are there any questions about the application?
I move acceptance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 5 is a resolution to approve the Glens Falls Collaborative Annual Boo to You Block Party on Saturday, October 29th, 2022, with the closure of Glen Street between Centennial Circle and South Street, Bay Street intersection from 12:30 until 4:30 p.m. Separately, the Exchange Street Alley will need to be closed from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for pumpkin carving project. The organizer expecting up to 3,000 people to attend, and see application is attached.
This is every year.
Yep,
Yes.
every year. And Chief, have you had a chance to look at the application? Did they show you a diagram in it? And I apologize, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they do.
Great, yep, oh, thank you. So, are there any questions? Do we have a motion to accept this Boo to You block party?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 6 is a resolution to approve a request by the Adirondack Runners to hold their additional annual Goblin Gallop 5K race on Saturday, October 29th, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. The race will be a loop beginning and ending at Abraham Wing School. Map is provided. Volunteers and man corners and route for safety. The race is expected to have up 150 registrants. A certificate of insurance is being provided.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll
They
second.
have it every year.
Every year.
They do a
Very
great
well
job.
done.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
7 is a resolution to approve a request by the Glens Falls Civic Center Cool Insuring Arena to close Oakland Avenue between State Route 9 and Fredella Avenue for the annual Adirondack Stampeded Rodeo. They are requesting the road closure from 2 p.m. Friday, November 4th, 2022 through midnight on Saturday, November 5th, to unload and load livestock and provide parking for the performers as attached.
Excuse me, Mayor, there is no application in our file for this.
In our packet.
No,
Chip?
It's just a letter, they said they're sending the application, this one just came in.
the application
came in.
just came in?
Yeah, he
Oh.
said they're filling out an application, I mailed them.
Oh.
So they just had sent a cover letter that was accepted.
In the past, they've given us a map, haven't they, Chief? Because, and you have, in this one where you've asked questions about getting safety vehicles in the past?
We work with them to come up with a general map, so anytime they close Oakland Avenue, they're required to follow certain guidelines.
Okay,
So originally they did it per a map, so rather than doing that, we sat down with them, we came up with a approved way to set that up, and I believe that, they all are aware of that, that we're at the civic center now, so I wouldn't see that they would change that, so.
So can I ask maybe a resolution based on the Civic Center getting us a completed application and the chief signing off on it? And if the chief's not comfortable, then they won't be allowed to do it? If the chief doesn't sign off?
Correct, it would be the Stampede Rodeo.
Yes, the Stampede Rodeo, not the Civic Center.
It's not the Civic,
Yes,
it's just held at the Civic Center.
Gotcha.
So it's Shayna Graham.
Yep.
Fair enough. So you get the application, you
Yeah.
get it to chief, and the chief signs off on it before the event, fine. And if not, then the approval is rescinded? That'd be,
Yeah, it's held every year and generally it is,
yeah, but
Everything is
I'm trying to
complete.
get some
Yep, you're
precedent,
right.
at least with those stipulations.
I
'Cause If
understand.
they don't send it to Chip,
Right.
and we resolve it, then we may have an unsafe situation. So
Okay.
with that, and I actually have another event that was under new business that I want to talk to you about with similar kinds of stipulations.
okay,
Fair enough?
sure.
So would you entertain a resolution? Would somebody make a resolution with those stipulations?
What he
I
said.
think that, I think as long as we notify these people that from now on, submit the application.
Absolutely. Yep.
Complete.
Complete application, so I don't wanna start us going down that road
No.
with just a letter.
Complete application with
Completed.
60 days notice, right? I think
And
that's
letter.
again where we're gonna
That's-
get to with this process and
It's gonna
writing
take a
out.
while for this to happen, I
Yeah.
think, but-
And Joey, if we're gonna do that, I think we need to somehow advertise it to everybody that beginning 1 November, must have 60 days notice application, and 60 days for board review in case there are questions need to be answered further by
That's
the
correct.
And
organization.
expect that when in that year that half of them won't anyway, but still you're right. Let's
But we
make
would like-
make the announcement, make the request, and every single time follow up until we finally get it, right?
With the certificate.
So someone's
of
going to
insurance.
tell Shayna Graham that.
Yes,
That's
so,
where I- yeah.
yep, absolutely.
I think they felt that they do it every year, that's good enough, but it's not.
Right, it's not good enough.
That's right.
Is this her first year doing this?
No,
No.
they've been doing, they've been doing 15, 20 years.
Well, it's been going on since 1990, but
Yeah.
It's
I
been,
think,
yeah,
I don't think she was running it, someone at the Post Star was,
yes,
started it.
yeah. But we also need included in their package to us the certificate of insurance.
That's correct.
Hey, what can happen with a rodeo?
Anything.
Very good.
No
Certificate-
worries.
So with the stipulation that we get a completed application, a certificate of insurance, and a map for the chief to sign off on, would there be a resolution to accept?
Yes, I'll make that resolution.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Let's see, new business. So, we have Councilman Lapham here to discuss a possible safety issue at the corner of Cooper and Maple Streets. Is brought up by the fourth, I'm sorry. Brought up by the fourth, I was about to introduce you twice, Ben, excuse me. Would you like to talk to him, Ben?
It's got, I can't remember. I can't even remember what the picture that goes along with it there.
There's this guy here.
Yeah, the Google Maps.
Yeah.
This guy.
That's
Yeah.
a different one,
Oh,
Joe.
that's a different one. Oh, I had a picture of the.
Oh, this is
that's
George.
the Google Maps there.
Here.
Sure.
Yeah. So what happens is coming down Cooper Street,
Yeah, going this way.
yeah, to Maple Street.
And the
Stop sign
There's
right
this,
there.
yeah, there's stop sign there, but it's very hard to see around that building if you're making a right onto Maple.
Right.
So we're just wondering what we could do to either like, maybe some signage there saying like blind turn, for people coming down Cooper, something to slow the traffic on Maple Street, because I guess it comes through pretty quick through there.
The,
The possibility of a three-way stop was brought up, but I don't think that's I don't think it's a flow of traffic there to justify that.
the problem is, I went through there today.
Yeah.
The stop sign on Cooper Street is before the end of the building. So the stop sign,
You can't see,
understandably,
yeah.
you can't move the stop sign right out, but that is the problem, is that if you stop where the stop sign is, you cannot see left. But I don't know the correction to that, but I did look at it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an accident waiting to happen.
Well, I got a couple of, I go down there every day, 2 or 3 times a day. The first problem is if you're going west on Maple Street, when you get to that brick building, cars coming south on Cooper all of a sudden appear
Yeah,
in front of you. They're stopping at the stop sign.
but then they have to come
Maybe.
out a little to see.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's right.
But every stop sign in the city is a place where you do supposed to stop at the stop sign and then proceed
Slowly.
so you can see. That's the same issue here. Can't move the building, okay? So I'm trying to not get another stop sign, but if they follow what they're supposed to do, and look, you can't see.
you know.
So how are we gonna resolve this?
I think if we put, there's a mention here of no parking in front of that building, I think that's a start.
Now, you still gotta almost come out.
You have to creep out, no
You
question
gotta
about
really
it.
come out farther.
I creep out, I'm not gonna just pull out of there blind.
I don't think it's a matter of parking.
It's
I-
also
makes
the
it
other
worse,
side, too,
that's
so
for sure.
alongside Cooper, because it's really difficult to see around that building when there's cars parked along Cooper on that road, as well as on
Thursday night.
Maple.
What are you saying, Ben? Here,
Like right
park
over here, because you're back here, and
What?
there's just virtually no way to see around.
Where do they park here? I haven't really
They
seen.
park down this way, they also park this way.
Is that when they're having an event or something?
Well, when they had the Thursday nights in the summer
Yeah.
at the shirt factory.
Chief, Chief Schrammel, would you be able to run a report, would you know, or would you, Chief, Smith, where, how many accidents have been on that, the history? Could you run in the last 5 years, run a history for us to consider at the next Board of Public Safety
It would
meeting?
have to be more severe for us to go, but I can't recall any accidents that, there, you know, for me to have to
Mhm.
know, I feel more severe than police department.
Okay. So maybe bring it to the next, and as we can think of what the options are?
I think maybe it's the cars coming to Cooper. If we could think either way of some way to resolve this, maybe we could do it on both ways. So we're talking, the issue is coming westbound on Maple and southbound on Cooper.
That's correct.
What kind of signage could we put there?
To
To,
let them
hit
know.
oncoming
Caution,
traffic.
caution
Yeah.
corner, right?
Yeah,
All right.
as a side note, if I may add,
Yeah,
my granddaughter just took her road test in Glens there
yeah.
and had points removed from her road test because of that corner.
What happened?
The
She,
stop sign's so far back, there's no line painted where to stop and
Right.
then creep to the stop sign. So she stopped at the stop sign, which was too far, but yet she still could not see around the corner.
How would she get points off?
Because she did the wrong thing.
She's supposed to
She
stop at the stop sign.
She did,
Well,
but
where's
he
the
still
points
couldn't
off?
see. He,
Why don't we paint a stop line in the street?
start there.
Well, we could do that.
Do that.
You know, you
Why
can paint a
don't- why don't
stop
we make
line.
that recommendation right off?
But
And
this-
Chip, could I ask you to follow up?
There's an area for a crosswalk there, if you were to put a crosswalk
Yes.
or a stop line.
That's a good idea with the crosswalk there.
Both sidewalks converge there, so people are, it's actually a crosswalk, you're supposed to stop
Mhm.
to make sure no pedestrians are coming before you proceed into the intersection.
It is scary
Right now,
going
there's-
west
That
on
might be
on
a-
Maple when they pop out there.
it is,
I think that's the first thing we could
I
ask.
don't think we need to do E-code either, that's just as one, yeah. There's no-
Yeah.
So I think we can ask that right away, and that's a start, and it may not stop it. I want to, in full disclosure, I'm very familiar with this. That building that you see in there is my screen printing business. And I can tell you that I don't park in front of that building because of the danger,
Right.
right?
You
People
don't
come up
see
and down,
people, yeah.
down Maple too quick. It is tough coming out. I pull out with a trailer on, so I have to be very careful because as you get out, if somebody does pop out of nowhere, I've got not just to get my truck around, but the trailer as well.
Yeah.
And it's
The
a,
trailers try to go around there.
yeah, this is Finch Prine's property on the other side of this.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, anyway, it's neat that let's start with, putting Do we need, to change code at all to put a crosswalk in?
No.
No. So we have a resolution to put, to redo the stop line painting on the end of Cooper Street. And we have a resolution to put a crosswalk on Cooper across, do we put across Maple, right? Cooper from would be the west side of Cooper, across Maple, or the east side? What was the suggestion, Chief?
We're gonna go across Cooper.
Cooper Street.
Going
Cross
across Cooper,
Cooper.
parallel
It's
to
gonna go
Maple.
east-west.
Okay, east-west. There you go.
The only other thing that I wanted to add is if you look at the stop sign at Sully's,
Yeah,
it's right there on the corner. It's
Mm-hmm.
not back at all. I don't know if there's any, do we need to move the stop sign up farther?
That could work with this
um,
stop
with-
line.
With the stop line and the crosswalk,
Yeah,
okay?
That way, as Bob's saying, that way when they come to the stop sign, they should be able to see up and down Maple Street.
Correct.
I think,
I
does
agree.
that mean you put the stop sign on the far side of because right now, you've got it at the very beginning of the turn of the corner.
Right.
And so where would you put that stop sign?
I don't know that you.
In the middle of the sidewalk?
I think you got some room to come forward.
Okay,
I think if you,
The issue is, and we've done this before, in meetings, you can't put a stop sign beyond a crossing area or a crosswalk. So once you put the stop sign, even though there's no crosswalk there, technically there is, any intersection is a crosswalk, even though they're not drawn on the
well,
pavement.
what about the stop line and the stop sign?
By putting it there, you would have it beyond the sidewalk.
That's true.
You
You'd have it beyond the crosswalk.
You gotta have it before the crosswalk, because we've done this before with studies, and the stop
Yeah.
sign has to be prior to the crossing of pedestrians.
Then how about just the stop line and the stop sign moved up?
so move the stop and try that first, and
Well, like I
also
said,
get the
even
information.
you still automatically have a crosswalk there. So the close you could get it to the corner would be at the edge of the horizontal line of the crosswalk.
There's no crosswalk.
Do they
But
line up?
but she just said, there's crosswalk at any intersection regardless of whether it's marked or unmarked.
I know.
Right.
So,
You're saying if there's no crosswalk, you still can't do it?
Because there's,
There's
Because
a
it-
perceived crosswalk at intersections, so where the intersection is, so there's always a perceived crosswalk there. So that's the reason you take your driving test and tell you to stop at the stop sign, and then you inch out into the traffic until you find yourself clear. But the crosswalk is a perceived crosswalk at every intersection. So the pedestrian, even though there's no crosswalk
trying.
there, they have the ability to cross, even though they're not like an actual
Right.
full-on
Well,
crosswalk.
right,
Well, how about a stop line?
I don't know.
or something
Yeah, I would
like
go
that?
with that
Start with a
first.
stop line at the
Correct.
current stop sign. How's that?
Correct.
Start there, and Chief, you can get us some information. Maybe it's worse than it's perceived. If we haven't had more than an accident or two, there's no doubt that Ben's saying it's a dangerous corner. It certainly is a more difficult corner.
Yeah.
It requires you to creep out there
It does.
and look. And, but I don't know what else you do. That building, I'm sure,
and
was
that
there.
building's for sale, so just because we
Yeah.
might not have seen something for the past 10 years or something, doesn't mean that there's more going on in that area now than there
Always.
was 10
You
years
bring up a
ago.
good point. I worked there from 77 until 91
Where?
for Leland Paper.
You
In
did.
that building?
In
Yeah, and that building was very active then. And at that point, I mean, if this building remains relatively inactive,
Yeah.
we should hope that maybe it gets more active.
It probably
Yeah.
will.
In the years that I
A
was
whole
there,
lot will.
Great building.
parking on that sidewalk, in front of 178 was very common.
Yeah.
Because the Leland trucks
Right,
and the walk-in trade came in from the small driveway coming off of Maple.
Right, okay.
So if that building becomes more active,
The problem might grow worse.
Well, we're trying to get a
So
line.
why don't we paint a line at the intersection far enough out so that cars coming down Cooper can see and be seen?
I think you'll have to put
Exactly.
that stop sign, either where the sign, or that stop line, where the stop sign is, or you can try to bring that stop sign a little bit further But as you can see by the corner here of the photo, that stop sign could only go forward maybe a foot or two, if that.
I don't think the stop line has to be immediately adjacent to the stop sign.
No,
I think the stop line is where you're supposed to stop in response to the sign.
Yeah, but the stop,
correct.
if I'm understanding Chief Scramble, the stop line cannot be any closer to the corner than where presumed crosswalk would be at the corner.
Right,
So if your crosswalk is, say, 12 foot wide, or however wide it is, I don't know what the what's right. Your stop line can only be as close as 12 foot to that corner. It can't go into where the presumed crosswalk would be.
but the stop line would be before the stop sign. It would be before, the stop sign would remain here, the stop line will be before it. The stop line is before it, you stop and then you creep to the stop sign. Correct? No, I'm getting my head shook at, no. What's the rule, chief?
The issue is,
Stop line needs to be where the stop sign is.
yeah,
Or the stop sign needs to be.
yeah, we don't wanna change that, but
The stop line is generally before the stop sign,
It's
isn't
usually
it?
right at the same.
what's really happening is, they're probably not even stopping, they're stopping, but they
Stop.
have to come out so far
To see.
to see around the building.
They just start
Okay?
going.
That's the issue, is once they get out, their car is out a quarter of the way into the road before you can see.
Okay,
So
I don't know what to do about it. We've discussed it.
I think it's more of
If you're looking
a,
at it, there's one sidewalk section, you can do the sidewalk, or you can stop sign on Google Maps.
Right, they could go up one more.
It's probably, those are usually 4 feet sections, so it's a 4-foot section, so you could actually move the stop sign 4 feet without impeding the sidewalk, without
Okay.
impeding the crosswalk.
go, which way, chief?
Towards Maple.
Towards
South.
Maple.
Towards
No,
me.
coming off.
Do we think that if putting a crosswalk, you know, painting for the crosswalk over
Yeah.
there
More effective.
might make that more
Yeah.
visible for drivers?
Sully's is right here.
As they're like crawling
Sully's right on.
to be able to see?
You're in the wrong corner.
I know, but.
They have to
Oh, right,
creep
right, right.
Yeah.
past the corner of the building
Exactly.
anyway. Why, if we had a crosswalk there, you'd look for, ideally, with common sense too, of course.
Yeah,
So it could go further
We'd
out.
check for pedestrians,
exactly.
stop somewhere between the stop sign
If you're
and
looking
the
at visual
crosswalk,
stop,
and then creep through the crosswalk to get
get
vision beyond the building.
So there's one of two options, it sounds like, that you have to consider. One is you leave the stop sign where it is and put a stop line, or move the stop sign a little closer to Maple and put a stop line in. Or leave the stop sign where it is, put a stop line there and put a crosswalk there.
One other thing,
Yes,
a sign, caution, oncoming traffic.
there you
On
go.
Maple, that could be an addition too.
Yeah, could be.
Oncoming traffic.
So
Now, where do
Ben's,
you wanna put that?
That should be also at the corner, because even when you get to the corner, you still can't see behind that,
I
around
say
that
put it
building.
on Cooper for the people that are trying to get on the.
That's what I'm saying, on the corner of Cooper and Maple.
Yeah.
So that they'll see when they get there, they still got to kind of creep, like even when they get to that sign there, the caution sign, they still can't see around the building. They still got to continue to creep.
Caution, oncoming traffic, if you can do it.
yeah.
I don't believe we need a crosswalk there. I would suggest moving the stop sign as far as we could, south, right there, as far as we could, move it south on Cooper, the stop sign on Cooper, as far south as we could, and then put the stop line there.
Right.
And then if you wanted the signage of oncoming,
Put it right on
caution,
the state
oncoming
stop
traffic
sign.
there as well.
Could put it right on the same stop sign.
The thing too, when there is, cars parked along Cooper Street there, is it makes it that much harder for vehicles coming on Maple to see people making the turn onto Maple. So that, or, you know, from Cooper onto Maple. So that's one of those things where that might, during like things
You could
like.
put
It's the
one
Thursday
spot,
night. It's
no
Thursday
parking,
night.
you could cross it,
Yeah,
put the
But we-
cross thing there for one vehicle.
We have the
Yeah.
sign
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of
parking
making no parking.
15
Yep.
feet from the corner, didn't, we did that already on,
We did
we
that, no
did that,
parking.
no parking from
But you
here
should
to
put the
corner.
lines there too.
do you have a resolution?
Yes. My resolution is what I said.
Very good. The resolution is to move, the stop sign further
South.
As far
south
south as we can.
and, is allowable on Cooper Street.
Right.
And to draw a stop line in the road there.
Right.
And to add a caution
Oncoming traffic.
oncoming traffic sign
On Cooper.
on Cooper as well. And then one more would be to make the property at 178 Maple, front
West-
of
on the west
178.
side of Cooper.
On the west side of Cooper, on the west side of Cooper.
No, the east side of Cooper.
Oh, east, forgive me, yes.
One
No,
spot.
one spot, no parking.
Right. On the west side.
That might, the one spot, no parking, that might require a change in code though.
So do we want to do a separate resolution for that?
Did we?
What?
A local law amend the code.
Yeah, but how about we just do a separate resolution, that we just leave that at the end of the corner marking for now?
Okay.
How's that? And then we'll come back, we'll also get a report from chief and we'll see if you want to limit parking. And if so, then it's not, although it's amending local law, it's not a huge thing. It's exactly what we did for, Elm Street, right? So once you guys pass that resolution, then the wording goes to the common council, they approve it, then we notify the state and it changes the code. So it's not, it may sound more onerous, but it's just one more step. Okay? So let's make the stop sign change and.
Stop line.
And the stop line.
Caution on
And the
oncoming
caution oncoming traffic to begin with, and then come back and bring it up under old business, next time we meet. Yes.
Mayor, I just checked with the chief of police, and there is the no parking within 15 feet of a corner
Anyway,
so we wouldn't really need a sign there.
okay, so maybe
It would
just
be
add a no parking
But they
this-
park,
from
but
here to corner,
but they're
We would-
gonna park
we
there
would-
anyway.
I know, we would need,
a sign put up.
well, but we would need enforcement. I guess that would be
Right,
the
but
thing.
well, first
Yeah.
you'd want a sign, right?
Right.
I would rather have them paint the lines, put a
Yeah.
sign, you know, that's better than, oh,
Okay, well, we'll wait for that one, okay?
Alright.
We're gonna wait for the no parking piece until next council meeting. Let's get this done first, and then we'll bring that back up. All right? Then we'll just change the code, and the council would approve it,
I
and
think
we'll
this
move forward.
calls for-
Okay?
Okay.
Great. Do we have, Tamara made that motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Okay. Constituent letter of concern on the safety board,
Broad Street.
Broad Street, Hudson Street split.
Right.
Um,
It's not South Street, as the letter states.
It is Broad and Hudson, yeah.
Yeah, it's Broad and Hudson.
It was just, a constituent mailed it, that's why I felt.
Right, no, I understand.
Anybody have any thoughts about the letter? This is one of the corners that we.
I have a question.
Sure.
It says fourth ward councilman, and this is a fourth ward constituent?
Sure.
I didn't get a copy of the letter.
Okay.
Could I get a copy of it?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to each one.
Okay, thanks. I just feel like it should have come to me.
You want this, Ben?
Never mind.
I don't know honestly what we could do there, Mayor, because if they have the green light going east and west,
I
they
mean,
have,
the other one.
Ah,
oh,
what other
There's a.
Oh, this
another-
one, you
yeah.
want this one. If they have.
I'll give it right back.
That's okay. If they have the green light going east and west on Broad Street, also where the road winds onto Hudson, they have a green arrow. I don't know what we could do for that. The pedestrian is gotta know to be aware. I mean, yeah, you stop, but I don't know that is there a crosswalk? I wish there was a picture.
There is.
There's a crosswalk that goes across over to the south side as
Yes,
well.
That's right.
But if a person, I mean, it goes right across Broad, I think, but if someone on the right-hand inside lane to turn onto Hudson, they are not gonna see that pedestrian
There's a
any
crosswalk
sooner
on
than,
Hudson.
What?
There is a crosswalk on Hudson.
right.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one on both.
But they're not going to see the pedestrian any sooner than the pedestrian saw them. If there's a vehicle blocking the view, as indicated in this letter.
So the letter identifies a problem that we've discussed. Our last, I believe it was our last council meeting, it might have been the one before. We thought that it would be good to ask AGFT, sorry, I get my. AGFTC to study that. They responded that they have two studies, or three requests from Glens Falls, one of which they're doing already and doing the study for us, and two more that they're queued up to do for us in the upcoming year. Or next, I think he said immediate future, in the next spring. So, but he was saying that was probably, he certainly would be happy to bring that to his board to add, but that it would be a while before he felt they could get for it because of that. And so the next question is for you, Chief. Have we paid for our own studies? You gotta forgive me because I'm new at being mayor.
They have a contract with the city.
Who does?
Is it Greater Glens Falls City Council?
Yeah, but like they do some studies for us, but have we ever done any on
I think
our
I
own?
don't care.
When they couldn't do it, or couldn't do it in a timely manner, not that you're aware of. There's not a practice of it.
Make people smarter.
Okay,
That's what we gotta do.
so
Pedestrian.
I guess then the next question is to the Board of Public Safety. We were not, Tambry, regardless of, your points are well taken. My point is, we're thinking this is a pretty hairy corner. My experience is the same. And AGFT is saying they don't disagree, but it's gonna be a while before they could help us with any such study. Does the Board of Public Safety feel that maybe the mayor's office reaches out to Labella or any of the other contractors that we could pay to do this? If you feel it's I don't want to say critically important, but more urgently important, that it can't wait until, sounded to me like AGFT would be the second half of next year before they could study this. They were saying they've got two more requests from us already that they're gonna do in the spring of 2023. So that would, let me just guess, it's a few months process. This would be not studied until the fall of 2023.
I
Yes,
have a thought on this.
Sure.
It seems like the thing that the person's describing is that there's somebody on a bicycle going across the street in the crosswalk, and then the motorist coming down on the right on red, the green arrow, can't see the bicyclist because there's a car that's waiting to go straight. So should we adjust timing on the right on red?
Well, the car should have been before the crosswalk. If
Yeah, but still, it would be, the car could still make it so that the bicycle going across the crosswalk, or a pedestrian going across the crosswalk, is being shielded by that car or truck.
Not if
That's what
the
I was
car,
saying.
but Ben, not if the car's before the crosswalk.
I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean. Can I borrow your sheet?
Maybe I'm wrong,
Because
but
you've got so if this is where the
crosswalk.
yeah, so if there's a car
Here's
here,
Stewart's.
here's the car that's coming,
Yeah.
here's Stewart's. Here's the car coming, so
Yeah.
the bike is being shaded out by that car that's waiting on the light.
the cross, but if this guy's going west on Broad Street and there's a light there, are you saying that the light was green?
It's green
The
for
car,
this
the
guy.
car
Yeah, the
was,
right
he was
lane.
going?
The right lane, it's green. There's
Yeah,
a
I
green
get it, I
arrow.
get it now. I
Yeah,
thought the guy would
Both-
stop.
Both ways, and this red, the other guy stopped because the car was stuck in front of him.
So the car can go and the light on the other side,
It may be that, I don't know how the timing is on that,
Yeah,
and that would be
might
something
be
to
the
check.
timing on the light.
Yeah, so it might be saying that it's safe to cross the crosswalk, but still saying it's green arrow to go down,
Hudson.
Yeah, because you get the green arrow.
Well, that shouldn't let him cross if that car.
Well,
coming
well,
that
now,
way-
They're
you got
just,
the-
they
the-
just, you have to
going-
realize the pedestrians are not paying
Green arrow
attention.
comes on, and you can go from Broad Street down Hudson Avenue once the green arrow comes on. Normally, I was through it today, I think, wasn't more 5 seconds, maybe less, that light turned green. Green arrow is only there for 5-10 seconds, then that light itself turns green,
Right. I know that, yeah.
so.
Yeah, so my concern would be if the timing might be putting a green arrow for
Can we-
proceeding through
can we
from
have
Broad
somebody
Street
look
to
at that?
Hudson.
Yeah, I think we should look at that and see what the timing is, but.
Yeah,
Chief, do you have anybody trained in traffic safety controls? No.
Well, we have a traffic control, don't we?
The electrician, DPW, the city electrician.
We have the city electric.
Remember, so does,
I can go and check the.
doesn't the city electrician do
Just anecdotally check the light on my way home.
The light,
Sure.
when the
What?
traffic is
Well,
in
I mean, it looks like a
Hudson
curb stone,
to
right? He has
go
me on a
west.
bike, now walking.
Mhm.
So that's,
There is a
that's,
time.
Yeah.
and then
But
B,
there's-
I mean, you're looking at, I mean, I'm just looking at that intersection, it looks like she stopped to let the person cross. And that's a problem we run into all the time, is that people think that
People
stop at a
stop
crosswalk.
to people to go.
Traffic controlled intersections, you are not meant to stop at a crosswalk unless you have the light.
That's
So
right.
the thing is, she probably stopped for this gentleman, it looks like where her car is, it looked like she was just being nice, letting the guy cross.
Yeah.
But the other individuals don't, they're traffic, they're just gonna go through the intersection because they don't have a light, so, that's been a concern, and I think part of that is the study they just did on Sanford Street, we're gonna hear about in a minute, because that part of that study was the same thing. It's a traffic controlled intersection, people are crossing against the light when they're not supposed to.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
I don't know if there's a public education component to it,
That's it.
so, I mean, it's,
Ding, ding,
I
ding.
know the South Street one from, all along, Glen Street, study AGFTC did in December had that.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people
We
crossing.
can't,
Glen
I
Pleasant.
don't think,
yeah, and that's,
We need to
seems
do
to be
it.
all the studies that agree that the biggest hazard is pedestrians, and I think the police department, I think you were here, that correct?
That's true.
They
What was the name of-
They wrote more tickets to pedestrians than they did
That's
to
true.
cars.
yeah,
Mhm.
the pedestrian.
Yeah. Chief, what's the name of the company that, well, we actually, and I know we probably have it in our record somewhere, the company that AGFT chose, remember there were 2 bids for the Barton LaJudas. So nothing says that I can't call Barton LaJudas and ask them to assess this and tell us how much, and we find the money out of general fund or wherever we need to go ahead and have some quick look at, like you said, timing of lights, what the situation might be, and make some recommendations, real quick stuff, not a full exhaustive study, but, and maybe the suggestion will be some traffic calming measures, maybe it'll be education, and we can at least have taken some action and not wait until next fall. Fair enough? Could you follow up with me, and we'll contact Barton LaJudas, you and I? Thank you, sir. Fair enough? We'll just table the topic until, and maybe I can bring you back some information. They're a private contractor, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help us for a fee, right? And we're not talking big money. I'm sure the council will approve it. Okay? Let's see, so here's a request. I held a meeting, there is a big concert coming to Glens Falls in November. And so I asked, I had a local attorney and several different, actually 3 different business owners asked to meet with me. The band is named, was originally named Fish. I don't know if you remember, but Mayor Diamond and both Mayor Hall, as Fish came in, welcomed these guys. They, at one point, they declared it Fish Day in Glens Falls, I think, or gave them the keys to the city. We're just excited to have a band of this notoriety coming to Glens Falls Civic Center. The event's already sold out. It's on a Sunday in November. Robin, you want to come up and stand and talk to me while I talk and you correct me of all the things I'm saying wrong? Yes.
No.
So,
Yeah,
Trey,
so it's the Trey Anastasia band with the opening act Goose. Goose is gonna be an upcoming act that really we would hope to see again back in the future. So what the business community is hoping is that we can embrace this event so much that the Trey band, Goose band is all gonna say, we love Glens Falls and we wanna come back. And I think that's, you know, a goal of everything we try to do in the city. So, yep, we did not do the 60 days notice. We met last night. I'm not even sure this concert was announced 60 days ago, so I'm not sure we could have. But we would like to accommodate the 5,000 to 7,000 people that are going to be here during the day. And it's going to be a Sunday, so we really need to give them something to do, because there's not always something to do in Glens Falls. So what we're asking for is to close off Glen Street from south to the Centennial Circle, but only the southbound lane, leaving the northbound lane open for emergency traffic, and then allowing using Exchange Street alleyway and the Exchange Street parking lot for overflow vending of out of town people that will come into Bend and create an atmosphere of a festival type block party without trying to interrupt traffic too much. And yes, we apologize for the lateness of our application and any details that might be left out. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it came through at 12:20 this morning because that's when I finally finished it. So we do what we can to try to help the city. So questions, and I'll try my best to answer them.
What time does the performance start, Robin?
7 p.m.
Starts at 7. So you got an end time here?
Yeah, it's 7, yeah. So we're hoping for 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. to hold the party. They're in Connecticut,
Oh.
The band's in Connecticut the night before. Generally, you'll find with their traveling
Group.
entourage, I'll call it, that they'll leave Connecticut and they'll come to Glens Falls and they'll arrive here either in the middle of the night or early in the morning, and they're gonna want to get going as early as possible.
Didn't that go all night the last time?
Not the last time. In '94, was it? In '94, they went late. I'm not sure what the Civic Center management was at the time. I think it was Olympia, actually. But somehow they dropped the ball and they allowed them to go play till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
that wouldn't affect this at all
No.
because this
No.
is all gonna be packed up and gone when they're having their concert. So this is just having,
Yes.
closing down.
In the daytime hours.
Closing down Glen to have a welcoming party during the day. Then at 7 p.m., all the crowd goes in to listen to the music, and we pack this up and Glen Street and open it back up. I would think within 2 hours, you could have it back open by 9 p.m. Sunday and stuff. So it's just a matter of allowing those businesses to sell food and drink and allow it's a group of people that will come and sell their wares. They're gonna have t-shirts and stuff. And we're just gonna close down the street, put up music, have a local band play up by Glen. Think of the same block party you just saw for the Balloon Festival, right? And that's it, and just have it be a welcome thing for the event. We don't think that the band members will come. I mean, they're very popular, so but the fact is their friends will, and we're hoping that it's populated that way. We don't have the details, so if the suggestion that I would like to make is if you would consider this, take the past events that we've done, and then allow Robin to work with our police and fire chief to come up with a plan that's acceptable to them, and if they accept those plans, they basically are gonna take the same diagram that Chief Schrammel has and says, do this, and that's what they're gonna do. So that's really the only other additional thing that we were kind of hoping to do, which may not be possible, is to, when we close down that part of Glen Street, to also make it so that to suspend for the afternoon, the open container law here in Glens Falls. That may not be possible. Our insurance company may say, that's a problem. My police force may say, you're nuts, Mayor, that's a problem. But we would love it if the people, not that we're gonna sell alcohol, but that these restaurant owners that are gonna stay open on this Sunday, that they could sell them alcohol and they could go out. Now, they'd have to have a wristband that shows that bar,
Provided.
ID'd them, that they can
Yeah.
have it, right? And then we would just allow them and not enforce them to, they can't leave that area of that cordoned off area of Glen Street with alcohol. But, it's actually happening in events that we're having downtown, and, we're not, it's not happening a lot, but we do know that during Wingfest, while you're there, that folks are going into the bullpen and buying a beer, and if they wander out the bullpen door, technically, that's a violation of our open container law. What I'd like to know and what I'll explore, and if I can make it happen, if we can make that legal, then we will. So that and doesn't mean that the same people would be responsible, meaning the bullpen serving, and these bars will serve, they'll be responsible for serving. But it just would allow those people to wander out into the street and have a bite to eat, or buy from a vendor, and that's it. And that we would do is not enforce that. We wouldn't let them leave the area with alcohol. They'd have to stay in that cordoned off area in Glen Street.
I think
Yes.
this is a great idea
I
to
do
promote
too.
the city.
I do too.
I'm interested to know why on most of these Glen Street block parties, we close off both lanes. If you have the open container,
Yeah.
you're still gonna have northbound traffic on Glen Street.
No, what he means is that we're gonna close off the traffic, but not put anything in one of the lanes, so that if there is an
So traffic
emergency.
should be closed off.
We
both
would
sides.
clap, but what you would do is just not allow anybody to set anything up in the one lane. So if there's a
No
fire,
northbound lane.
then a fire,
Gotcha.
we just move the barrier,
Chief.
and the fire guy goes right in.
Chief Smith?
Yes.
Chief Smith, you think we'll have enough officers available to be around this area at that time?
When Fish was here in 2008,
Yeah, that's what I was just.
our whole department was here.
Okay.
Fish, the thing is that this is.
And weren't there.
I know that it was announced for late, but this is very late for planning stages to do this, very late. We did none of this for Fish, and we were out straight all day long, but we were well planned. In other words, we were planned without having an event downtown, and we were still out straight. We had multiple ambulances there, and they were all running all night. So, these are things that really, we're gonna do this, if the city wants to do this. I mean, right now, there's gotta be meetings set up with the police and fire department to come up with a full plan, to provide EMS services and stuff like that. So I wasn't aware of any of this. I kind of was pushing to have an ambulance at the event, which we're going to have, because it'll go over 5,000. I don't think it's enough. I'd like to have 2 ambulances at the event, dedicated just to the event. So, but this would just be an extension of that. So we had a lot of work went into the last Fish concert that was here. If you think it's gonna be half of that, then we really have to get to the table and start meeting.
And just to make a point too, I think the mayor, Diamond, had quartered off that Holland Avenue for
He did.
the last Fish concert and made that a vendor space.
We did, yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
quite a lot of.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the event, and so we're thinking that not to put that down on there, but allow it to happen on Glen. Whether, again, so I think that it's a better option to meet and to come up with a plan, because if you don't, if we say
It's gonna
it's too
happen.
late, it's gonna happen anyway. They're gonna end up wherever the park, so in Albany, it would happen in the parking lot,
Yeah.
in the parking garage.
And that's where it was, even though they had that area this last.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Parking garage, parking lots.
Parking lots.
On the bridge.
Yeah.
south of
That's
Falls.
right.
So we really, I mean, like I said, I'd really love to sit down with you and have, make the time with the police chief and come up with a written plan, develop a communications plan, so many
Safety
things,
plan.
to make sure we have all this stuff.
Awesome.
Absolutely, and I'll add that up, so yeah, I would expect it would be similar to Fish, because, I mean, they sold out within days, so same amount of
They're
people are
local
gonna be in
being, I
town.
mean, they're local.
So I would
From-
imagine it's
I
going to be the
embrace it.
same type of crowd, and I hope that we will be able to assist with public safety by having this, because we will be able to
Yeah.
contain what's going on, and I'll try to use the word control, what's going on within the vendors and within the
Right.
community. I've been reaching out with other people that are, that follow the band Fish and Trey and Goose, and they all know what's going on, and they're excited that the Glens Falls is
They have to.
taking these steps to welcome. And in turn, they're willing to work with us to, again, control their people.
And some of the problem came from the people who didn't have tickets. In other words, so you're going to pull 50% of what you're putting in that building, you're just gonna come for the show
Yep.
before and after.
Right.
That's right.
They were still in the parking garage areas and the
Yeah.
parking lot.
I remember.
Those are
Forewarned
all-
is
those are all
forearmed, I
things we
think.
have to kind
I
of-
think it's great, Mayor.
Yeah, I would expect 10,000, so there's 7,000 tickets sold, really, and I put 5,000 on the application, because it's daytime. I would expect 10,000 people in town that day that are not normally here.
So once you get over that, now we're in the Department of Health regulations, so now you're talking porta potties available.
Yep.
Once you go over 5,000, you need to file a permit in New York State, so, you don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
So-
Right, well, and the thing is that, I appreciate what you just said, but his saying that he thinks that it will be that many people, that doesn't mean we're holding an event for that many people, it means
Right.
they're coming.
Well,
And so this is better to,
You are holding an event if you're closing the street off and making it a thing. So once that occurs,
Yeah.
you're holding an event. So ultimately, the organizer, under New York State law, under Department of Health law, has to file a permit and have enough facilities. If that's what they're determining is going to show up, you have to have a facility to say that. So once you say that in this building, it doesn't, it automatically gonna require an application to Department of Health. It's, in other words, for all those things.
Do we have time to do
Because it
that?
becomes an event, because we're closing a road off and
well, but it's an event my point is that it's better to have you meeting and us trying to fill out that application and meet it.
I'm not helping you fill it out, but I'm
Okay.
saying that the timeline's very short.
Oh,
To get
extremely,
it
but
filed.
the other option is to say it's too late, and if so, that means that pushes these people into
No,
those
no, I
parking
don't think
lots
it's too late.
and into those they're
I'm saying
coming,
we don't have
whether
enough
we
time.
do it, no, you're right on the money, and no, we wouldn't, we would allow people to set up and sell their jewelry in a spot, but they're not gonna be a vendor the way that a restaurant would be a vendor, right? And we're not charging for spaces, we're just allowing them a place, as opposed to if we don't, they're gonna set up in the parking lot, and then we're gonna have to police that. And they're gonna pee behind the parking garage because there is no porta johns, right? And so those things are happening when you have an event like this. And so our thought was, at least let's try to get them all in a space, in an area that we can help manage and provide as much service as we can. Because otherwise, they are coming, right? They are coming, and they will fill every parking space, and that they can. When the dead came in '79, they were camping in Crandall Park, and not because we issued camping permits, right? So, so just so you, so again, this
The
is
who
an
cared, we
opportunity.
didn't know it.
That's right, and that's right, good point.
And I've always found that the communities that work best with them get
Yeah.
the best results from
Right,
them.
right.
Yeah, so,
I'll make a motion that we accept this. I'll make a motion that we accept this
Yes.
with the coordination of Chief Schrammel, Chief Smith, everybody.
the organization.
Yeah, that
Thank
we
you.
work together and time allowing, we pray that you'll, I say that.
Do they
that-
send
this
a
lady
front
here
man
has-
That it
forward
goes
guy?
through.
Do they send somebody ahead of time?
Mayor, I think the lady has a
Not
question.
that I know of, and we haven't spoken with Jeff Mead about the promoter, we've been kind of working on like Mayor says, they're coming.
Okay.
So we're working on that assumption. It is something we have on our list to do, to talk with Jeff, to talk with the promoter, to
Alright.
see what they will help us with, and what they will send someone ahead
So
of time.
Jeff should be at the meeting too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I believe that forewarned is forearmed. So we know this. We know this is coming, we know this isn't happening, and let's try to get as much and as close as we can ahead of it to control as best we can.
Absolutely.
That's,
Sorry, go ahead. Hi.
Nancy Turner, and I'm the president of the Glens Falls Collaborative. And I learned about this last evening, with emails with Robin, and we tried to get a vote up and going to see if this would be a collaborative event. We weren't able to get that together.
Good
So
forum.
I'm just, to clarify, is this going to be a collaborative event, or?
It's not an
Are
application
you-
made
No.
by the collaborative.
It's not
a-
an
it's a
collaborative
group of-
application?
no, it's
No.
not.
Okay, all right.
Now, I will be coming to the board on Monday in a request to either make it a collaborative event or at least collaborative coordination for the event.
Okay.
And I will be asking for money, of course, and, you know,
Yeah.
of course, you know. And let it be noted that I'm the outgoing president of the collaborative and Nancy is my
Yes.
as successor. So I think we can work together on this. But yes, last night I was
Yeah.
not able to get enough votes to put the application in as a collaborative. But I wouldn't be opposed to it becoming a collaborative event after next Monday.
That
But
takes-
again, time is of the essence, and I
And
understand that.
because it is such a short
Mhm.
time, I mean, to be able to get the volunteers together and to get everything, all the safety precautions taken care of, you know, we've got a lot of work to do.
Mhm, absolutely.
So.
Yes.
Amy,
Yeah.
Amy, excuse me. This will take on a whole different role if it becomes a collaborative event with us. The city works with the collaboration. Right now, you're before us as a Glen Street Block Party Committee. And that's what we will move on right now, is this.
Okay.
I wouldn't suggest you change anything between now and Monday, because your days are short.
Okay.
And
That-
so,
That's understandable, and I don't think that
Yeah.
is.
whatever you do to
Which-
get
which
money,
one?
however, whatever,
So-
we don't want to know about it. This is a Glen Street
So-
Block Party Committee.
Yep.
I made the motion for that to happen.
So we'll leave it at that, and then you can come to us looking
As the
for
Glen Street Block
your.
Party.
That's between
For
you.
your needs.
Very good.
Okay,
That makes sense?
Okay,
yes.
we're looking for a second.
And with the stipulation that they work with our two chiefs
Yes. Oh, yeah.
to prepare for safely and
Safety
follow
plan.
the recommendations.
I indicated that.
Thank
I'll, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the date is
The date is Sunday, November
13th,
11th.
not the 11th,
Ah,
right?
thank you.
From the
Yes,
13th to
13th.
Sunday.
13.
11th, okay. It was just an agenda of 11th. I just wanted to
And
make sure I
then,
had it right.
this was the 11, I see, so 10, 11.
Oh.
So I bet you that's what got confused.
I gotcha. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, the 13th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great, I'm looking forward to it. You
All
gonna
right.
get the board members in?
Um,
Lexi, you're gonna-
Let's see. So old business, Lexington Avenue and Grave Street corner.
I believe we have
Do we have
people
a
here for that.
discussion? Yes.
How you doing? Yeah, I
Good, how are you?
Yes, how do this?
Thank
My
you.
name's Mr. Bliss, Ashton Durant.
Okay, nice to meet you.
How you doing,
Come
Tim?
this way and stuff. Yeah.
How you doing? I've been a resident of City of Glens Falls for almost 4 years now. I'm a disabled American veteran, the U.S. Navy and the United States Marine Corps. I know all about safety. We did it every day when I was in. This is my neighbor Nancy. She lives right across the street from me. On Lexington Avenue is a very dangerous street. We have a lot of people speeding on Lexington Avenue. That's a fact. The other thing is, right now, since Stewart's has got the convenience store on Ridge Street, a lot of people are taking shortcuts from Lexington to Graves to get to Stewart's. And also, when they're coming from Ridge, they take Graves to go back to Lexington. So we're having a problem on that corner because there's only one stop sign on the right side of Grave Street when you're trying to go like back up north. And then on the other side, on the south side of Lexington, right when you're hitting the corner of Grave Street, there needs to be a stop sign. There's no stop sign. There's nothing but brush. You can't see nothing let's see, the police officer over there, I go to where the scope is, you can't see around that corner. Doing 30 miles an hour, there's no speed limits on
And
Lexington
there is
Avenue.
a speeding issue
There
coming
is a
around
speeding.
that corner.
And what's bad is, on Grave Street, there's no sidewalks, so it's very dangerous for pedestrians.
Yeah. We
I know
actually asked the
everybody
residents
in
of
the
Grave Street,
neighborhood.
we actually asked the residents of Grave Street to consider a sidewalk years ago because the folks with disabilities coming from Everett's Avenue were trying to walk to their homes on Ridge Street. And if I remember correctly, the residents of Grave Street did not want a sidewalk.
I
On either
I
side.
wasn't there then.
You
I
don't,
don't
you don't live,
remember
you
that.
don't live on Graves.
I live
If I
on
could just show you
Yeah,
real
she
Oh, I
quick.
thought he said you
I've
lived
been
on
Main
living
Lexington.
thing
for
is-
over 31 years.
The south side, there's one
Same
stop
house.
sign here.
Yeah,
One needs to go there, crosswalk for students and elderly, because there is a crosswalk on Ridge and Jackson Street for school kids.
Yeah.
But we don't have one here for the kids.
no, because it's expected that, go ahead. So you're suggesting. so
We're suggesting a
that-
stop sign,
Stop sign,
crosswalk,
yeah,
and over here, which would help greatly, if somewhere on Lex, there could be a speed limit sign, I believe might help. Speeders are gonna speed regardless,
yeah.
but at least people will know, hey, if it says 30, it means 30. And also, the other big problem is, we have a trail where everybody goes bicycling, a lot of kids are on that trail.
We're familiar with it.
Like that.
There's a warning on one side of the trail and not the other side of the trail. The one thing that really bothers me the most is we need to up the game for safety in my area of my neighborhood, because some of the neighbors went out of their way, bought signs and put them up. They put signs up for watch out for children by the trail, because there's people blowing that area. They don't give, they really don't care.
Could you just tell us, sir, what is it that you want here and where?
This is an
See,
existing
there's a
stop
trail
sign.
by my house.
Yeah,
There's a warning on one side for children, but not on the other side.
so what do you want there?
Put one sign on the other side.
What kind of sign do you want?
The same sign that's there now on the one side.
What is it?
What is the sign?
It's
That's
pretty
Warren
much like
County.
a watch out for children sign.
That's Warren County. The bike
Is this
trail,
one
you want it on the
somebody
bike
bought?
trail?
What?
Is this some sign somebody
No.
bought or we put it in?
No.
No,
we're
listen,
Wait,
there's
wait,
some
wait.
signs there, some signs people bought.
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Well, really, those signs should be from us,
Where-
from you, from the
Well,
city.
Okay,
But
watch out for
where
children.
do you want the sign?
Okay, there should be one on the other side of the trail.
That is Warren County Bikeway, that is Warren County property.
Yeah,
That
but
is-
the street isn't.
Well, we can't put a
But
sign
we
in the
can't,
middle of the
if it's,
street,
if,
there's a
if
crosswalk
property
in the middle of
belongs to
the
Warren
street.
County, we can't, as a city, do anything without the approval of Warren
Okay.
You
County.
can simply make a request.
Let's do this.
Yeah, we can make a
Yes,
request.
we can make a request.
What do you
to
want
the county.
back here?
Over here,
Fanning.
stop sign,
You
On
want
the
a stop
corner.
sign going eastbound on Lexington
yeah,
at the turn here?
yeah, on the
Why
corner,
do we want a stop sign?
Right,
because there's nothing there.
Well,
right.
why do we need one?
Hell, you wanna take a ride in my
I
Camaro?
go that way all the time.
We do,
Look.
and
You're
Vinnie, you
coming-
gotta
As well.
understand, we've had this
We live there.
conversation, we've looked at
Yes.
this, and we live in this neighborhood too.
Yes.
And we don't believe that we should have a stop sign on Lexington there. We do agree
don't.
that people speed at times,
Yeah.
but we don't think that that's, so we all know that what it's like to pull onto Grave in the stop sign, and you gotta look over your shoulder.
gotta look back.
But there's, and you gotta look back, and that's a tough coming out of.
But you
But
can
we,
see.
but we don't put in stop signs to control somebody that's not paying
Speeding.
attention. We do put law enforcement there, we've actually ticketed them before, we've had times where we put our pedestrian slowing thing, but we don't put in stop signs, say it again, somebody tell me the statement that we talked about at the
We
last
can't-
public.
we cannot
We
do it
don't
for-
control,
The speed. We
speed
cannot
through,
control speed by
through
stop
adding
signs.
stop signs.
So who's
I
in
do-
charge of controlling all this?
Well,
Excuse
We
me,
are.
Police officers?
if I could
Yep.
make,
They can't be everywhere all the time.
Go ahead, sure.
excuse me, if I could make a recommendation. I do live right there, and I've lived in the area for 35 years. I walk that bike path. I drive down Graves. Graves comes around like this.
Right, and I'm
The
See,
problem
there's that
is,
first house.
okay, the problem is, when they approach Lexington, they do not make the turn, the curve in the road to stop at a T. If you stop at a T at that intersection, you can look left, you can look right freely and clearly. My suggestion, put lines in the road. Make the cars go to the T.
That would help.
My suggestion is to put a center line down that road
On Lexington?
on Graves
Okay.
and bring it around so the cars are going to T. They're not going to go like this. And that's what they all do.
Can I bring-
That's why they can't see around the brush. If
Can I
you-
add something to that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, I've been there for over 31 years. There was an older man, I'm sure he's deceased. He lived almost across Benny is 60 Lexington. He had that house, the gray house that comes out to the point. There's that point that comes out to Grace. He lived in that gray house. He told me years ago, like I said, he's probably deceased. Years ago, he said every time they did a new paving of Grave Street, and I've seen it because I've been in there over 31 years, like I said, they take a little bit more of that corner. I had
They pave a little more of the corner, it turns,
yes,
yeah.
they keep going into, I'm not saying that we own that property because I know the city owns so much, but they keep edging more and more of my property. It's not really,
Mine is the right
it's my,
idea.
where my house
That's
is.
true.
Make
But-
people come to the T.
And they're making it so easy for them to pick up speed and go around that corner
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a less of a.
You're talking
It's
about
like
cutting
speed.
from Lexington on to
Yes,
Graves.
that's
Anything
right.
I
I
could
gotcha.
get, I'll
They
So
keep
Tamara,
doing
your point was to put straight
center
lines
line. Put a
on
center line
Graves
right
all
there.
the way to the stop.
And make them, the way the road goes, the way the road goes.
Oh, I gotcha.
The road goes that way. That's how the road goes. It does not,
But
but they
you
cut
can't put a
over
stop
on the other
sign
side.
here.
They go
I
more to
mean,
the left.
the Board of Public Safety doesn't put stop signs to control, you put stop signs when the street calls for stop signs. Somebody can
Correct.
say this better than I can.
Can I
Stop signs are not
use stop
to
signs,
impede.
control
Can
traffic.
I bring
Control
up
traffic.
something else?
Sure, yes.
From Ridge Street to Bay Street, you have that long Lexington Avenue. They turn on to Lexington Avenue because I see them from my picture window. They turn on from Ridge Street onto Lexington. By the time I see them, they have gained speed because they know they have a clear road, just to speed to Bay. My picture window is right about the time they start picking up speed, which is right about where Vinny lives, at 60 Lexington.
Vinny from this sign.
So
where do
why
you live?
can't
What's
we
that?
do
Where do you live on
something
this
on
side?
each side of
Nancy
Lexington? You
lives
can't
right
go
here.
slow.
I live right here.
The
You
speed
can't
limit
put
in the city is
slow
I
30
live right
miles an
across the
hour,
street.
Right here.
all over the city.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I see this every
I
day.
know Vinny.
I don't, whatever we can get out of this, I'll be happy
of
with
course
it.
not.
We will discuss with the chief of police.
Like on each end of, or
Yeah, we hear
like
you.
halfway, or before you get to Graves.
We only try to do as many things as we can.
I know.
Legally, as we legally
Right,
We
right.
got people
Yeah,
saying,
no problem.
Slow, just a slow sign, and then, like you said, the lines, the stop,
I
the
think
stop.
directing the I don't know, can we do that without I mean, do we need?
Painting
No, no,
painting
no.
lines?
We
The
could
The
lines.
lines down the.
I don't think the lines you need to, no.
lines.
We don't need to.
I'll find out, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But I-
Yes, meaning yes, we can make the change.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
can, we can put
I don't think
lines.
yeah.
That's,
I've really, for the past probably 5 weeks now, because it did get brought up last month, we did talk about it. I've made it a point of going over through, driving the car, and it is a matter of how you address that stop sign.
We're not really here for us, we're here for the children too.
Well-
The children from Jackson Heights crosses in that dangerous area, and I've seen it. And bicycles, they come around the corner, I've stopped the children, I've said, please don't ride your bicycle around this blind spot, this corner.
She yells at me when I cross the street to say hello.
Well, you know, the
It's
children,
very, very dangerous.
the children should be going straight on Lexington out to where there's a crossing
But they
guard.
don't.
I know,
These are
I know that.
children.
I know
These
that.
are, you know, from Jackson Heights
Yeah.
Elementary.
So I've made that recommendation. Do I need to make a motion
Are we
there?
clear on all this?
Just so
I've got slow,
Wait. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
let him-
The one sign the gentleman's talking about is on city property, and it does face the bike trail, and there is not one on the other side, and probably wouldn't be a big enough to do it on the other side.
It is,
It's a
not,
it's a bright yellow sign, has a bike and a walker on it. That's the only one I can find.
Yeah, there are
Is that
two.
Queensberry's?
No, that's ours.
That's our side.
That's,
So who's
So-
the other side belong to?
that's what I'm saying, so I believe we can put that sign up.
Yeah,
Sure.
probably,
There is
yeah.
not one on the other side.
and would you
There's
call
not
that,
one
is that
on
a
the
bicycle
side.
slow
It's a
sign?
bicycle walker, just, it has a bike and a walker. And
Yeah.
we must have made the sign, so, my guess is that.
that's not the county property?
No, it's on
See,
city
the county
property.
does all the,
No, it's on the median.
It's on city property.
Thanks, chief, I appreciate it.
It's on city
Yeah,
property,
yeah.
so we can do another,
Oh,
we
I
can do one of
see.
those on the other side, I just.
oh, that's on
That's
Lexington.
wonderful.
Yes, on
Yes, that's
Lexington.
Yes,
Lexington,
and do
yeah.
another one on Lexington.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I was
chief.
talking the other
Appreciate
way.
So do we have a resolution to put a slow children bike walking sign on the other side of Lexington? And do we have a resolution to mark out the center lines on Grave Street to the stop sign? And to examine further traffic calming devices for the full length of Lexington that runs uninterrupted from Glen to Bay?
From Ridge to Bay, not Glen to Bay. Ridge to
Sorry,
Bay.
Ridge to Bay, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody,
Oh, wait,
for
we
your
got-
Wait,
time.
we
Wait,
haven't.
They have
I know.
Do we have a
that's,
motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's a start,
everybody.
it's a start. No, you're welcome.
Gotta start something.
All right.
Megan, thank you very much.
Oh, you are welcome, anytime,
Hopefully I
Vinny.
can help you guys out.
Oh,
Give me
we-
a call.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
What branch we're in.
The Chevalier sold the house, though,
I
that's
was able to
terrible.
down to the
I'm
corner
gonna let
with
them
the
sell.
reins.
I have
Yeah,
a question for you.
Chip, thank you.
tough job.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Is there any way we got to order?
Yes,
yes, let's do your report right now, sir.
Go ahead.
I have
We
a
have,
quick question before you go. I'm sorry, under old business, quickly. Mason Street
I got it in
parking.
my, I got it in my.
Thank you.
My
Okay.
presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so, first thing was, and is the Board of Public Safety, is the parking on, Mason. So I did look at that, we did take, I took 3 shots with our engines, with my car parked there, and one of them we actually couldn't get a car turned, these are 2 pickup trucks that were parked there, that weren't, that I didn't put there. We did Glanville, Kenworthy, and Stoddard, trying to make that turn. It's very, very tight, even with my vehicle there, the one with the 2 pickup trucks, we could not do it. So it would be my recommendation that no parking would be on the north end of the street, which, because any snow, we would be completely eliminated from making that turn if there was a snowbank there. And I tried it with the engine, because our aerial truck was out of service, if that's not making it, there's no way that's gonna make it. So, as far as my recommendation, if you're looking at no parking on one side of the street, it's gonna have to be no parking on the north side.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're gonna impede access.
Should we
Emergency
act
vehicles.
on that? What do we have to do to act on that?
So the chief's statement was, if you're going to do no parking on any side of the street, it should be the north side of, and what street was it again? So we have a-
Mason
Street.
Mason Street. And,
Can we make no parking on both sides so that the emergency vehicles have hopefully enough
You
room to
can,
make
but the
those
thing
turns,
is-
make the turns?
That you can, but the other day when the people, residents of the street were here, that's not what they're looking for, because I think they are parking on the street, so,
No.
no, they're not.
He
Well, there's a
was
lot of
saying-
cars parked on that street.
There are a lot of
I
cars
drive,
parked on
I
that
drive up that
street.
street every day, and
Why don't we just do one?
do one for now and see if
Yeah.
it solves the problem, and you can come back and, if
Yeah,
it doesn't solve the problem,
We'll go from there.
least restrictive anyway.
Okay.
Is there a
We need
motion?
resolution for that too, for updating the city code.
Yes, well, once you pass this resolution, it would go, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
I'll make
So-
a motion.
Just to be clear.
Motion, yeah, thank you.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you,
So
Chief.
Thanks,
we'll
Chief.
we'll
Thank
have that
you.
go in front of the council and
Commissioners.
change the code.
So the other thing I had, and it's actually a good thing, well, not a good thing, it's, we had a rescue incident that I don't know if anybody's aware of. Actually over, on Warren Street, there was a, pavement milling machine, and we had a gentleman get caught and get stuck in a pavement milling machine with his arm. It was a, nearly 2-hour rescue call. It took an incredible amount of work from a lot of people to get done. So I just wanted to reach out to my own guys. It was our D crew was on. Crews are kind of mixed. They're all gonna need a letter from me in their file, because of the job they did. We were fortunate enough, to have it called to the wrong location, and I'll explain that to you. We are at the cement plant, we are jointly called with Glens Falls Fire, Glens Falls EMS, South Queensbury Fire, and Bay Ridge EMS. That's where the call came in as. So, the benefit was we had a lot of people there at the same time, and there was way too much work for one department to do. So I have reached out to the chief of South Queensbury Fire Department. I sent him a letter thanking them for what they did for us. I sent a letter to Bay Ridge thanking them for the service they provided and help that they gave us. I also sent a letter to Glens Falls Hospital, who actually brought 2 nurses, an ER doc, and a surgeon to the scene. So I sent a letter to them also. So just so you're aware, it was something, these are never good things to go on, but the good part about this is the best possible outcome for that gentleman to get caught in the machine. We achieved, I believe, that day. So.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please thank everybody who responded on our behalf, our firefighters on the D shift.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, and the Glens Falls Police Department, I forgot to tell you about this. So they were there first.
Yeah.
Gentleman said he was caught in the machine. They assisted us. They actually went to the hospital and they retrieved the blood we needed on the scene, the nurses and the doc. So they actually went to the hospital to give it to us. So like I said, this was a all hands on deck type of rescue, and I think it went very well.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank them
Thank
for us,
you.
please.
Motion to accept,
Chief's report.
Second.
General's report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chief Smith, would you like to give us your report, sir? See how he jumped in front of you? Can't believe that we won that.
Sorry, I'll pay him back.
All right, good.
So my report this month for new business is we had Police Officer Jacob Saunders. He completed his field training successfully, and he's on his own. He's been on his own for a couple days now. So I just wanted to put that out there. He did very well.
That's good.
I received a request from Glens Falls Middle School and High School in regards to a possible crossing, an additional crossing guard at Austin and Grant. So over the last couple of days, I sent police officers out there to kind of assess the situation. And I put it on my agenda, but I've determined that we do not need a crossing guard there. It's more of something that the school is going to have to address with some of the parents. And so I'll move forward with the school in addressing that.
Okay.
Do you have any numbers, Chief, as to what, like, it must have been really low numbers. I've heard a resident who said that the numbers at crossing Lexington to crossing Ridge at Jackson, the numbers are very low, and I just wondered what kind of numbers did you have in that intersection you were talking about? Was it really low, or could you tell us?
It was fairly low. What's happening is when the middle schoolers get released at 3:05, they're cutting through the back parking lot and coming out a trail at the end of the fence by the field. And then that puts them right there at Austin to cross and go home.
Okay.
So that afternoon there was about 3 or 4 kids that actually crossed the road. The kids are coming out there because the parents are parking along Grant, where they're legally allowed to do, and the children are finding their parents where they're parked. That way they're missing, all the parking and traffic on Queen Street, with the high school doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
In the morning, the students are getting walked across the street by their parents, most of them. And so there was another 3 or 4 actual children across the crosswalk by themselves.
Right.
The officer in the afternoon noted that the most violations that he saw were parents jaywalking across the street to go meet their kids and not actually using the crosswalk. So I believe putting a crossing guard there would be a waste, at this point. And I think it's something that I'll work with the school to try to remedy as far as putting a letter out to the parents.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because most of the parents are now learning that they can park on Grant and not go down Quaid to pick up their children, and their children are coming out, the back way.
Back way.
Because they never did before.
Thank you.
Kids will always find a way.
What's that?
Kids will always find a way.
Oh,
Well, they
Do
will.
something
Does direct
different.
them to leave, they want them to leave that,
them to
just so
leave
you
that.
know, yeah, cause my daughter's in 5th, and they're supposed to leave through that trail and come out on Grant, which, I mean, she walks anyway, so, most of them probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school's directing them that way too.
Great. Let us know how that meeting goes, okay, too.
Will do. Under old business, I received a study back from Glens Traffic Safety Council about the study at Glen Street, Stanford Street, and Grant Ave intersection, and I included that in the packet. Obviously, it's very comprehensive, and also ranges quite a bit in the amount of money that can be spent trying to remedy this intersection. So obviously, I don't think it's going to be made tonight.
Can we review it
What
or
are you
something,
doing?
Chief?
I read through everything. At the end of each one is how much everything's going to cost approximately.
Yep.
So
Are you looking for a recommendation from us or no?
Or do you have one?
I don't have one. I'm not the expert in in intersections. That's why we had the study done. I think it's something that has to go in front of you, and then ultimately it's going to happen.
Do we have time to review this?
Sure, if you want to review it tonight, we will, if you want to, if you.
No, I mean,
Yes, I think we
another
should
time.
put it on the agenda for the next board.
Table the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a full
There's a lot
discussion
there.
about it, how's that?
I have a question about this. I live near there, and I've been going through that intersection a long time. And so, I guess my question for you, Chief, is that intersection anything more than just an annoyance? Is it a hazard? Have people been injured there in personal injury accidents?
That I don't know. This was brought up to us by one of the crossing guard that actually
Yeah.
works at the intersection.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you had time to read through it, but they lay out what the actual problems are.
Yeah.
Yes, there have been accidents there.
But not as the result of a child, not as a result of a child walking.
Correct,
Right.
not yet.
No, I
Is there a
understand.
way to determine if we have a history of personal injury accidents
Sure.
occurring there?
Sure.
As opposed to just fender benders?
Sure.
We'll try that the next time.
So, why don't you bring that, and then I'll ask you to read this report over and bring thoughts and questions to the next meeting.
I did read it over. It was just from my personal thoughts. I like, they recommended, one of the recommendations was to do the same red light setup as they have on the corner of Sherman, Washington, and Glen.
Okay.
I like that. I drive that all the time also.
It's a very bad spot if you're a pedestrian though, because there's no cross lights, and the crosswalks are in a rhombus pattern. So it's longer to go across the road there than it is. So that's Sherman and Washington and Glen.
I understand that. However, I think that if you time those lights where it's going to be much easier for a crossing guard if you have the same setup as you do.
When you don't have pedestrians lights though, you can't see what the lights are doing. So you're like crossing blind there as a pedestrian. So you might be like liking it as driving in a car, but as a pedestrian, going across there is
You look for
That-
traffic. The pedestrian
No,
has to.
I mean, you don't know, like, when it's green.
You can
just
still
can't see it.
look at the
You
light.
can't see it, it's a blind shot.
Are we talking the same area?
I live on Sherman.
No, I'm talking, I'm talking about the, I'm
Grant-
talking about
Grant, Glen.
down
Glen,
at
Sanford,
Grant,
Grant.
I
Sanford.
thought you were saying Sherman and Washington.
No. I'm talking about,
The
I'm
study.
referencing that intersection though, but, I think that works.
Oh, all right, so one of the recommendations is to have a light that's similar to the
Correct.
intersection she's
Correct.
talking about. That's what Tambri's
Yes,
saying, that
yes.
recommendation. So,
Yes.
again, please take a look at the study. Tambri's told us what recommendation she likes best. Let's have you all look at it and decide what you think too, and we'll come to consensus at the next meeting.
You know, historically, when that Sanford Street School was active, and Tom Ford was the principal, he got the city of Glens Falls to set up that light. So it had a red in all directions that delayed for like half a minute or something. And he said, I always get complaints about it, but it gives the kids a chance to get across the street.
Great. Is that one of the recommendations?
I didn't see that.
Okay. So
No.
maybe you,
It
I thought it
doesn't
was
have
tied
that.
in with a whole new traffic system, but
Yes.
Michael seems to indicate that they were able to do it with the existing traffic
Yeah,
signals.
yeah, it's just a matter of time.
The old system, yeah, they probably
Yeah.
knew, probably a new generation there, but
Yeah.
what they did is they just had extended red in all directions.
sure. Right.
And if you don't like it, go to another, find another intersection
Yeah.
and go.
It doesn't happen, but anyway, I
Yeah.
mean, we go that way and that was it. No
I'm-
cost, zero cost and just,
Fair enough. Maybe you take that intersection and also add the time. I mean, take a look at
As
the
well as.
recommendations. Come with some thoughts as to what you think is best and we'll take a look at it.
great.
I can promise you that we won't have anything to do with the cost. It'll have to do with what the
Right.
recommendation of you is and then we'll find a way to pay for it. Okay?
Safety.
Well, cost is something that should be considered. If we can, say, go to the system that annoyed motorists, where all the lights are red all at once,
Mhm.
that costs nothing.
Okay.
And, we all pay taxes.
Sure. If that's,
Okay,
I'm fine. Yeah,
So we're gonna table this, right?
we are gonna table.
All right.
Chief, did you have anything else in the report?
That was it, just requested an executive session.
We do request an executive session. Great.
okay.
Okay.
Motion to accept the chief's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, motion to go into executive session.
Emily, how's your hand?
Just one quick old business.
Oh, forgive me.
Quick old business.
Court date for Central Avenue thing?
Yep, we don't have a
I
court,
knew you would let that
so,
go.
we don't have,
Central Avenue.
what I've found out is so, don't know if you followed much of the goings on in my tasks in the building codes department. But, the gentleman who came and gave you a report, Will Celeste,
Well, his first report was with the prior supervisor.
right, and, so Will never gave out the second violation that he told us that he did. And so now I'm having the violation given out and it will proceed to court. You know what, let me say that even better, we can't find record of it.
Can't find the proper
We
document.
can't find the proper documentation, we're gonna reissue it, this week. I've got, J.D. Ellingsworth, coming out of retirement to work for us about 10 hours a week to help us with violations, and a brand-new, department head working with Labella to restructure the entire department and get all of our records in.
Oh, great.
So I've got a lot of progress, but I'm sad to tell you that I could not find
I'll
documentation.
be bringing it
the
up
second.
again in November.
Absolutely. Well,
But
I'm
you
glad,
made great
glad you will. I'd be pleased to.
Either
Hopefully I'll
December.
have much better, information for you. Feeling very good about, the process, but it means that we've started from scratch.
Yeah.
Everybody that was there is now gone, starting from scratch.
Going well, doing well.
Thank you.
For executive and for adjournment.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Yes,
So
okay.
Tamara, would you make a motion to, when we're all done, to come out of the executive session?
Yes, sir, I
And
will.
then Bob, would you second that?
Yes, I said,
And adjourn.
And Jaren, same.
Same,
Adjourn.
perfect.
All right?
Big, big, big.
Thank
Thank you.